Good morning, everybody, and you're all very welcome today to our an interview in our members series. We welcome Paddy Buggy. He's the centre manager of the Beal and Webmill co-working facility in Mount Mellick. You're very welcome, Paddy.
Thank you, Bernie.
And it's great
Nice
to
to
see
be here.
you in situ in your beautiful facility down in Mount Mellick. And some of you might be familiar with that photo. It was recently in some national press. So
That's right.
would you like to give us a bit of a background to the centre there and how you got involved yourself?
Okay. I suppose I was manager of Mount Mellick Development Association since 2014, and we were looking to see how we could develop and to meet market demands. We had a space over 5,500 square feet that was idle, so we decided to develop a digital hub here, and we ended up calling it the Webmill. That's based on the fact the World Wide Web and the fact this used to be an old mill.
Okay.
So we kind of combined the two together to come up with that name. And we've based it here in a thing called the Beal Centre. And the Beal Centre is named after a Quaker family called the Beals, who had been industrialists, employed thousands of people in Mount Mellick in the 1800s. And during the famine, unfortunately, they lost their money by being good to the poor here in Mount Mellick and keeping people alive and keep people in jobs when it wasn't economic to do so. So we wanted to acknowledge their part in their history, but also build on that Quaker business and enthusiasm for business and trade that was in Mount Mellick and made Mount Mellick the Manchester of Ireland. So I suppose what we're trying to do is replicate that now in the 21st century. And we started with designing the digital hub here. And it's a co-working space, but we've divided it into 3 main office blocks with desks, with 44 desks. And we went around the country for a while before we did anything, just to see what was out there at the time. And we went from seeing places where you had long desks with long-haired friends of Jesus typing away on code to having kind of individual offices to somewhere in between. And I decided that, well, what would I like myself now if I was going into a digital hub? And I realized, first of all, I'm a messy person, so I needed a big desk to put all my paperwork on. I needed my own personal space because sometimes I'm that little bit loud when I'm talking to people. And so we decided then to go with co-working, but give ample personal space around each person. So no one in this hub here is any closer than 2 meters from one another. And we felt that was important because it gave you your own kind of little island. That was your kingdom and you work away there. But you're also close enough that you can network with people, or if a company comes here and colleagues are close enough to one another to talk to as well. Yeah. So what we have then is the offices with the 44 desks, meeting rooms. We have this facility here behind me, which is kind of a chill out area or events area. You can see in the background there are privacy booths, which we replicated old telephone booths of, and they're slightly larger, but we're delighted with them because there's, even for a guy who's built like me, you have plenty of space in them. You know, I could nearly rent them out as an office on their own. They're that big, but anyway, it's that's what we have there. Obviously, we have canteen facilities here, and we're very lucky that in the campus here we have a very good restaurant called the Hare's Corner, which is literally downstairs. And there's a back stairs down straight to it. So anyone who wants to have their dinner here, they can have a lovely dinner here at lunchtime. And of course, we have a creche then on campus as well, Sunnis, which is just around the corner from the building here.
Okay, so you've plenty on the go there by the sounds of it. So in terms of the types of businesses that are there at the moment,
okay,
the flavour of what types of businesses are there?
We're at the very early stages here, but the type of companies we have, we've a company called Nostra, who are a technology company and provide technical support all over the country. And they have 3 of their team here, and they're planning to put more of their team here as well. And I think a lot of companies are looking at this whole issue of, do we need people commuting to Dublin every day in order to do their job? And especially a technology company, because as we found out, you can do the technology from your own home. But the problem with, I suppose, for a lot of people at home is it's a novelty at the start, but then you get tired of it because you're either using up a box room that one of the children needs, or you're at the kitchen table or at the ironing board, and you're not dealing with professionals every day, where you come into a place like the Webmill or any of the digital hubs around the county here, and you're with professionals, you're with people who are like-minded, and you can have that life balance where you leave the home life there, you come in here to your work and you have your work life, and it's easier that way. We also have someone who's involved in financial services here, and we have a guy who's doing technical drawings for buildings, and we have a lady who's involved in sales. Now, unfortunately, her business got hit when the lockdown came, but I'm glad to say that she has come back and her business is starting to pick up again, which is great, and I'm delighted for her. So yeah, those are what we have at the moment. But because Laois has such a broad level of people who are, say, commuting every day to different types of jobs, we're open to all sorts here, as are all of the other hubs here in the county as part of the Laois Hub Collective. And so from that point of view, we can cater for practically everything here, and we can subdivide our offices as well if need be, if that's what people require.
You can work with people. So in terms of staying open during the lockdown, you have some essential businesses that did remain open and were using the hub throughout.
Yes, we have stayed open because of the essential workers that were here, and that's been great. It's been great for them as well because they weren't stuck at home. They were able to come into a nice facility. Obviously, we had to take the precautions of your sanitizers and keeping social distance and all of that. But that was very straightforward here because, as I said at the start, all our desks are so far apart anyway that it was never an issue. And so from that point of view, it has been very good. And we realized that no one knows whether this pandemic is going to come back again in the future. So I suppose everyone has to future-proof their... Now, when we were designing this, we weren't taking the COVID, I'll be honest with you. It was more for lads like me that are a bit ample in size, that like space around them. And then we said, sure, everyone's going to look like me and be built like that. So we need to give them space. But it has worked out in the long run for us because we are compliant in every way here.
Well, you did have great foresight, and it's funny the way these things work out. But with all the co-working spaces in Laois, I feel like we knew there was a pandemic or something on the way, so we're ready to go, which is fantastic. So it's great you don't have to rejig or reorganize your space. You're really well set up.
And in fairness, Bernie, all of the hubs in Laois had very little work to do, very minor changes in order to be compliant, which is, well, I suppose as part of our vision here in Laois too. We want to be the remote working capital of the country. Absolutely. And we
are the remote working capital of the country.
Well, that's true. I should say it that way.
Yes, we are. We've claimed it. Yeah.
We've claimed it. We've claimed it. But and for good reason, because we have the best infrastructure here, and we are able to cope with things that are thrown at us that we weren't expecting, like the COVID.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of, you mentioned already, you have your sanitization stations in place. You have your all the instructions, and you're well in compliance. If anyone is wondering how you've kind of adapted.
Well, it was very straightforward. It was more following the processes that were laid out nationally, and putting in your sign in, putting in the cleaning and all of that. So we do the extra cleaning now, and it's no, listen, it's worked out grand.
Yeah, and soon the restaurant will be back open on the 29th.
Yes, and what we were lucky enough here with this building that we were able to facilitate kind of a one-way system for the restaurant as well, so people can go in one door and come around and out another way, so that people aren't crossing one another going in. Obviously, there'll be a reduced number of tables at the 2 meter distance. If it goes back to 1 meter, it'll get back close to nearly full capacity. So, but then the beauty of being here, of course, is you can slip down for your lunch at 12 o'clock and not have to wait till 1 o'clock. Literally go down the back stairs there and you're into the restaurant. So it's grand that way.
That's a great ability to have. And in terms of, you also have the kitchens downstairs.
We have commercial kitchens here with 5 of them. And unfortunately, at the lockdown started, our clients actually had to close briefly. However, I'm delighted to say that the Sweet Bakery, who uses our kitchens here, are up and running, and their shop is open again in Portlaoise. And Michael from the Jungle Food Company is back working here again, and I'm delighted for them. And they're busier than ever now, thank God. So, which I was getting a bit worried because all this home cooking, and I was going to myself, will the people want to be able to buy cakes and buns anymore? But they do. Of course, most of them are like me. They're not able to bake. So, but for any of those people who are out there who have discovered a flavor for cooking and for baking and for the food industry, if they want to start their own little food industry, maybe as a part-time thing, we have commercial kitchens here that people can rent on a daily basis or long-term if need be. And the reason behind that was we knew when we built those in 2013-14 that the banks weren't loaning money. Unfortunately, we're back to the stage now where the banks are a bit more cautious about whether to loan money to people because of the disruption to employment and salaries coming into people. So if people have decided, God, I'd like to give that a try, come in and talk to me, and we have kitchens here as well in this particular hub as well. So you can run your office work up here and your cooking downstairs, and we're way and a half.
I have heard of a number of startups actually during COVID for the very reason that people have kind of found something they prefer to do than the day job they had before, or the work-life balance. There's a number of reasons that people are making life-changing decisions actually during this pandemic, and I think we'll see a lot of that moving forward.
We will indeed.
Yeah,
but facilities are here.
Yeah.
I just like to say that, you know, food industry is a tough industry to be in. I'm under no illusions there.
Yeah.
And businesses start and businesses go out of business, and businesses are successful and they move on. What we found here is if you happen to have a day job, keep it. Come in here at weekends and do that and test the market and see if it's a viable business or not. To kind of have that safety net if you already have a job. And many people have done that. And for some, they decided, oh, it's not for me. And for others, yes, I'm going full time at this now, and it works out for them. So it's
very good.
Everyone's circumstances are different, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of future plans, I'm busy, I'm sure, with inquiries on your remote working spaces there as a result.
We are. I suppose the one good thing that came out of the pandemic, Bernie, is the fact that people have reassessed their lifestyle. Do they want 3-4 hours a day in a car commuting? Most don't. Some will have to because of the nature of their job. But for others, the options are now there. And I suppose what we want to do is help them to convince their managers that this is a good option. It also is a much more cost-effective option to be based in the hubs here in Laois. And I think if you look at it from a national point of view, Dublin has become too expensive to do business in. Now, I'm not trying to take business out of Dublin in the sense that we need to increase our business here in the country. But not everyone needs to be in Dublin, and people can do it and work from a much lower cost base here in Laois. And I suppose if you look at the overall package, we're lucky here in that we've partnered with a property developer, so we can provide apartments and townhouses to people who want to locate here. And they're a fraction of the price that you pay in Dublin. And so from that point of view, it's going to drive down pressure on rents in Dublin if more people start working remotely and working in hubs like here in Laois and in other counties too, in fairness. And it's that point, I think, is going to help the nation get back on its feet again, because let's face it, we're crippled now with huge debt as a nation. And there was a reason for that. It's not that it was a genuine reason, but it's there and has to be paid back at some stage. And we have to become more efficient and, I suppose, have a lower cost base in some respects in order to be able to achieve all that. You get the lower cost base by coming to somewhere like the Webmill. You get regional development by coming to somewhere like the Webmill or the other hubs here in Laois as well. And basing, if not all your team, most of your team here, you can still keep a foothold in Dublin at a much reduced cost. And that's going to drive down your overheads, which makes you more competitive. And that's what we have to look at here. From Laois's point of view, we have so much going for us, as we all know. Well, I'm biased, I know. I'm a Laois man, but we've also a situation where we have a can-do attitude now in Laois. Before, we kind of were a bit standing back a bit and kind of holding their head down and saying, sure, that's them boys up in Laois, that's what they're good at, and leave it to them. But now we're every bit as good, if not better, here in this county. And a part of that is the fact that I suppose there's been an influx of people from outside the county coming in to live here, work here. We've a young population. It's the fastest growing young population in the country here in Laois. and they have a different view of things, and we have to adapt and change to be able to meet their views and what they need to do here. And we're doing that, and we've great infrastructure in place. And I'm going to say this now publicly. I want to praise you for the work that you've done since you've come into the county. John Mulholland, as county manager, has been a breath of fresh air for the county, because unfortunately in the past we've had county managers come here that used it as a stepping stone for promotion somewhere else. But he took a different approach, and I have to say that without that kind of good leadership from yourself and John and people like you in the county, we wouldn't be in this situation. And I wouldn't be having this conversation this morning if you weren't there, in fairness. You know, so from that point of view, we're being more proactive as a county, and we have the product offering. We have a very good product, and from that point of view, we're going to be successful going forward as a county, and we'll be successful here in the Webmill as well, because we have products that people want nowadays.
And I think in Laois, it's not just the product, but there's the people. The whole atmosphere and vibe in the county is sometimes underestimated, and when you're not from the county, that's when you really appreciate it most.
Yes.
Because, as you know, I'm from a neighbouring county, and there's a really nice feel in Laois for anyone thinking of moving to work remotely in the Midlands. Laois is by far the standout place to do that. And hopefully with the new government formation, there will be lots of incentives for people to work remotely, reduce their carbon footprint, and change their work-life balance. So it's exciting times for the country, hopefully, and I think very exciting times for Laois. And best of luck with the Webmill, Paddy. You're doing a good job yourself in the promotion and working with the other hubs as well. It's great to see that collaboration. You're all in the same space, but you have a different USP, and we all recognise that, which is great. It really is. It's great to see that joined up thinking.
Well, we're very fortunate, Bernie, in that everyone involved in the Hub Collective here in Laois are very proactive. Listen, if I don't have what the client wants, I'll send them to somewhere else, and vice versa. Yeah. So the beauty of all this is, even though we've 6 hubs, sure, we couldn't cope with all the demand if everyone came looking for a place, you know. Exactly. And so there is great scope here in the county, and we are working towards it. And we work very well together as a group, yes. Which is important, and that's the way it should be.
Absolutely, absolutely.
There's plenty of business there for us all.
There is, and there's a great group there as well for us to support each other. So look, Paddy, thanks for taking the time this morning, and the Webmill looks great. I absolutely love that picture. I wouldn't want to be moving from that lovely comfortable seat where you're sitting if I were
here for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, hopefully we'll get to meet up soon and have some more networking events down in the Webmill at some point in the future.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.